Well, welcome everybody to the Wicked Smart webinar. For those that haven't met me, I'm Teresa Tim, working at Midwest Family, and I'm delighted that you're joining us today. Today's webinar features Gary Bernier, and it's entitled, as you can see on the screen, Setting Up Your Sales Engine for Your Business, How to Use Pay-Per-Click and Radio to Get Both Short-Term and Long-Term Results. Before I get started and introduce Gary, Andy is actually on vacation today, so I'm doing his gig. Before we wrap Gary to start speaking with you, there's a couple housekeeping things. This is a pretty small group. Feel free to chat, to ask your questions, and I'll facilitate those to Gary. If you want to open up your mic and that's available to you, feel free to do that as well. There will be some time at the end to answer some of your questions, but we start right on time, we end right on time, so I know that people will be signing in once they realize, uh-oh, it's already 1:30 and they'll be here, but we're going to start. The recording of today's Wicked Smart webinar will be sent to you sometime tomorrow, along with the link for our upcoming session. So thank you. And now with that, I'm going to introduce you to Gary. He's been saying hello to all of you, it seems, as you're signing in, which is very lovely. But Gary, who is called the Wizard of all things digital, is going to take us through how we can set up your sales engine for your business. So Gary, take it away, please.
Thank you very much, and I'm so happy to be invited to be with you guys this afternoon, and so happy you took the time to spend with us as I take you through this. Yes, please do ask questions, whether you unmute and interrupt me, that's fine. Whether you put them into the Q&A or put them into the chat, Teresa and I will take all questions. If you see me looking to the right, it's because I run multiple monitors in the chat and the questions are off to the right, so it's just I'm looking over to see if anything's popped up over there. A little bit more background so you know who you're listening to today. Funny story, back in 1996, the busiest website on the internet ran out of a server plugged into the spare bedroom of my apartment in Toronto. So things have changed a lot since 1996. I ran you could call it a computer training company, but we did all the high-end internet training. We were the only Netscape partner outside of California for about 10 years. And even though everybody thinks about Netscape as the browser, they built all the initial high-end server software that ran most of the large e-commerce platforms in the early days. So I've worked with some really big players over the years. I've been buying and selling online advertising for years, long before AdWords ever came around. And what I'm going to share with you today is the new stuff in AdWords, so that you can make sure that whether you're doing it yourself or you're working with somebody, they're taking maximum advantage of the new changes that are in AdWords. That's really what you're going to get out of this. And I'm also going to show you how we at the Wizard of Ads tie this into our radio campaigns, and how we measure that so that you know that both the radio is working with your, so that's kind of a little preview of what we're going to get into. So I'm going to kick this off by asking you, business owners, a very important question. Okay, there we go. What are people typing in today to Google to get to you or into their URL bar? Are they typing in something like Bob's Plumbing or plumber near me? Are they looking for you? Are people looking for you, typing in your business name, or are people searching for what you do? This is really important, and this is going to be the theme of the whole presentation. Are people looking for you and your business, or are they looking for what you're doing? Because today, if they're searching for what you do, you're gambling for the click. All of your competitors are bidding against you. Everybody's on AdWords today. And there's these other companies called aggregators. And they're not in every space yet, but they've chewed up quite a few. And it may have affected some of the people on the webinar. What is an aggregator? Well, they're a software company, is probably the best description. They don't actually provide a product or service. They just connect people with a product or service, possibly one provided by you. They're filling up page one of the search results, knocking all the small to medium-sized businesses down, and they're outbidding you for the click. And here's what we mean by an aggregator. Yep, Yelp, Angie's List, Home Advisor, or some of them that we find our customers are doing business with. They're actually buying leads from these companies, which are outbidding them and pushing them down in the search engine results. So your competitor today is not just the guy down the street. It may be one of these aggregators taking up the space. Google Local Services, Google AdWords, and Google My Business is also aggregation. Google's really controlling that page that people see and who shows up there. So this is all aggregation that's getting in the way of SEO today. So when somebody types in plumber near me, you may see things like local services. That's paid advertising. Notice this little word up here, sponsored. Then there's the AdWords results, which we're going to dig into how to make the best AdWords ad you can. Then you got Google My Business. And then you might get your search results, the actual, what people would call the page one SEO results. And today you can see two of them are Yelp. The aggregators have taken up those top spots. And the reason why is they're running huge content plays on all the local SEO keywords. And they've gone after these things called featured snippets, which you may just recognize as the questions that show up in the search page. You can see that Home Advisor owns this one. So what if we could flip this paradigm? What if we could get people to type in your web address or your business name instead of what you do? Our Wizard of Ads mantra is to get you thought of first and liked the most. Thought of first and liked the most. So they're thinking of you, not your competitor, not what you do, of you. So we create our advertising strategy, and your advertising strategy with Midwest should be to create a bond with your prospects. This is what radio is awesome for. Yes, I'm going to plug radio because we are big fans of radio, and all of our customers, except for a few, use radio to promote their business. You get to speak to the prospect before the time of need. This is super important. With AdWords, you're fighting at that last minute when they have the need and they don't know who to go with. But if you can get into their brain ahead of time, you can win them over. Radio provides you with a huge audience. You'll never hear another AdWords guy tell you this, but your AdWords ad gets an audience of 1 when you get that click, whereas radio is giving you, exposing your business to a huge number of people. And you get to speak to them regularly. So in radio terms, they call the audience reach, and they call how often you're speaking to them frequency. And when you have the right reach and the right frequency, people feel like they hear your ads all the time, and they get to know you because they just develop a familiarity with you and they trust radio. Somebody that's advertising on radio for a long period of time, and we always set our clients up with radio contracts that are a year long. So we buy radio for the whole year. Doesn't matter whether they're a seasonal business. We make sure they've got the right reach and frequency, and we broadcast their message out there because we're trying to own the consumer before they have the need. You'll never hear a PPC guy say this: radio is cheaper than clicks. Because we at the Wizard of Ads think in price per listener per year. And if you want to understand that formula, go buy The Secret Formulas of the Wizard of Ads from Roy Williams. You'll find it in that book. And that's, we look at the number of listeners we're speaking to, we look at the total price that we're paying, and we figure out what the cost is per listener. And in many cases, we're getting it for less than $1. And we're speaking to them for 52 weeks a year, multiple times. That's a heck of a lot cheaper than a click. And what it does is it gets them searching for you. This is the tie-in. And because this is radio, I have to give you a radio ad example. So.
If Superman had his fortress of solitude, Wonder Woman must have had the most amazing shower known to womankind. The kind all supermoms deserve. Your master bathroom is your place to recharge, get your game face on, and spend time on you. The rest of the time, it's go, 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 and do, do, do. But a new bathroom will transform your mornings and nights, and that'll transform your whole day. Get your shower of me time at ozarksremodeling.com.
And you'll notice radio, what are we promoting? Ozarks.com, ozarksremodeling.com. So in the old days, radio promoted phone numbers. When the internet came along, you promote your web address. And that's super important. So in your audience, here's your radio ad, and in your message is embedded your URL, which, if we were advertising Midwest Family, they'd go there directly to the homepage, or what people refer to as the website. They may just type your company name into Google, get the search results, and then come back with a click. And that direct link we'll talk about is very important for a whole bunch of reasons. When you have people typing in your URL directly, you are hitting the #1 factor in SEO rankings. So there is nothing better to drive your SEO rankings than a mass media campaign getting somebody to type your URL in directly. And you can take a look at that study. That's the #1 ranking, and you can't change that rank. You can't get people to do that any other way than to tell them to go do that. And so that's where mass media works really, really well. So your radio ad, here's your sales funnel, pushes to your website. Your website should make them want to contact you, right? So you can actually have that conversation, and you should be able to make the sale. So how do we measure whether radio is working or not? We measure interest. So this is a rolling 12-month count of the direct visitors, the direct traffic, and the organic traffic to one of our customers' websites. And the arrows indicate where the radio advertising campaign kicked in. And you can see the almost steady increase. And over here on the right-hand side, you can see the COVID factor. There was a dip, no question, there was a COVID dip, and then it's right back up again. And I just plotted out the next 2 months, and it's somewhere up here. So we watch this as a leading indicator. If we're putting more people to the top of the funnel, there should be more sales coming out the bottom. So we can actually see the effect of turning radio on and pushing traffic directly to the website. So if we do that, people are now looking for your business. Now what should you do? Well, this is my recommendation to you. You should own your page one. That's when somebody types in your company name or your brand keywords, which we're going to talk about in a second. Yes, you should spend money on a click for your own brand keyword. Why? Because when you start advertising on the radio, the really slimy little competitor down the street will buy your keyword. He'll buy your company name and try to put his ad in front of yours. And then your SEO results and your Google My Business should show up. You need to do everything you can within your power to own your page one of Google. To do that, you need to really focus on your brand keywords when you get people looking for your business. So in this case, company name and a keyword or a product. We call them brandable chunks. Some people call them word flags. Some people call them taglines. If you're using them in your radio ads and people are looking for them, you should be using them as keywords. And here's a new one. This is a tip. If you don't have this today, add the word reviews to your company name, because people, when they go looking for the reviews, that is now a keyword phrase. You can also do that on your competitors. Don't tell them I told you to do that. So if you're stealing clicks from your competitors, that's a good one. Put the competitor name and reviews, and you'll steal a few clicks. I have to speak to you about mobile because most people are still behind on mobile, and that's unfortunate. Google still puts local services at the top. And then you do get AdWords, which we're going to talk about. And here, what this person's done really well is they've got the phone extension turned on, so you can just click right there and talk to that company. Why is mobile so important? For most of you, it's probably 50% or more of the traffic coming to your website today. SPL that you'll see in the examples today, September, it was 90% of their traffic. That's unusual. It's been about 50-50, but it was crazy high in September. So you can't rely on SEO anymore because the top positions go to ads and the aggregators are crowding you out of that space. So this is where we get to turn to our pay-per-click. And my advice to you is to use everything that Google makes available to you now. And in your basic ad, which is displayed on the right, you can now have 3 headlines underlined in red. This allows you 90 characters of text in total to describe what it is you do. In the past, you maybe only had 2 headline lines. You were missing out on 30 characters. So you have a much better chance of saying to your customer or prospect what it is you do. You also get 2 lines of description now, which gives you 180 characters, which means you can say a lot more about what it is that you do. So I really encourage you to build some flushed out ads, some bigger, beefier ads, because this is a fairly recent addition, and a lot of the accounts that I've taken over in the last 2 years haven't been using the full real estate that's available to them. The second thing that I want to introduce you to is the number of ad extensions that Google's made available in recent years. They take up more space with your ad and they push everybody else down, and you get to tell the prospect more about you. So why wouldn't you use them? And you already sort of saw the call one, that's your telephone number. And I think it's entirely essential for mobile. We're going to talk about site links. I'll explain those, call outs, and structured snippets. So the first one is the call extension. We have to remember that people are using Google today like the yellow pages of old. They're just going there to get your phone number. So the radio ads saying, go to the website, oh, but I need to call you to set up an appointment, or I need to call you to get you to come out to my house, or whatever, however your sales process works. Make sure you turn on the phone extension. The other beauty of this is you'll be able to track the calls directly from the ads to know, hey, that ad's working. I'm getting calls from that ad. But on the mobile, it makes it just a thumb press and they're connected with you.
Carrie, I'm going to interrupt you for just a second.
Sure.
And ask that question again. Ballpark it, or just, what's your observation regarding turning on that extension for being able to press a button right on your phone and the call is connected? What is the price per per doing that per month or for the year? Do you know?
You pay the same click cost as you're paying already. So it doesn't charge you anything else for the call tracking. You put in your phone number and it just displays your phone number and tracks when somebody clicks on that from the mobile. So one of the advantages of the mobile platform is it tells you when somebody's clicked on this.
Great,
Does that
thank
answer
you.
your question?
Yeah, thank you. And again, maybe we should pause here because you've unpacked a lot here. Any questions so far for Gary and what he's talked about so far? Something in the chat.
What's the single biggest mistake I see advertisers make using PPC? The answer to that question will probably come right at the end. It's not a PPC mistake. It's at the next layer down. So everybody's fighting the battle to get the click. And what I'd like people to walk away with is, and so the third bullet point on the screen right now says, if they do this, they skip the website altogether and you're right into the conversation. So to me, that's an optimization step. The person went looking for me, they hit the call button, I'm in the sales conversation. Perfect. I don't care that you didn't go to the website. I'm talking to a customer. So the big mistake is people get caught up paying attention to the clicks versus how many conversations they're having, like how many starts to their sales process they're having and where did those go. So optimizing your sales process and knowing how many clicks are turning into sales conversations and that those sales conversations are resulting in sales, that conversion optimization is the mistake. And that's on the business owner's side because it's easy to pay a PPC person to create clicks, and they get to show up every month and go, look at how many clicks I got you. Look at how many clicks I got you. And you're going, yeah, but my sales numbers haven't moved. So making sure that the website, if they're going to the website, it's creating the conversation, it's furthering the sales process, and that if they're touching your organization in any way, shape, or form, that's converting into more sales. So the second thing that we measure is phone calls, inbound phone calls. So our first leading indicator is web traffic going up. The second thing that we track month over on a T12, trailing 12, is phone calls. And so there should be a good ratio between web traffic going up, phone calls going up, which means your inbound sales opportunities should be going up. And a pure PPC person doesn't care about that. They just care about getting you clicks and showing up and saying, hey, I spent your money and I got you a bunch of clicks. And really the business owner needs to be more interested in, did that convert to money?
That's great, Gary. We've got another chat that says, digital marketing is more about conversions than click-through rate or impressions, right? How would you respond?
Oh, it should be all about conversions. Click-through rate, impressions, and we'll hit that when I talk about display advertising a little bit. That's just getting in front of people at the right time or not right time, doesn't matter. Click-through rate is a measurement of how effective your ad is. And so at the end, if you want me to, I'll talk a little bit about ad testing. We split test ads. So you know which ad has your best click-through rate. You can copy that ad. You can make the tiniest little change in that ad, add some capitalization, remove some punctuation, whatever it is, and then run that ad alongside the other one and see which one ends up with the best click-through rate. So click-through rate is really a great tool for comparing how one ad's doing versus another ad. But that's about it. The click-through rate doesn't convert to dollars. Conversions are dollars. So yeah, it's all about conversions.
Thank you.
Okay, the next extension is the site link extension. And I'm gonna focus on the stuff in the yellow. This site links let people jump directly to a landing page. A landing page is just another page on your website where you've put that specific information. Could be about a product, could be about a service. And so instead of going in through the homepage, they go closer to the information that they're looking for in the buying cycle. And they're easy to set up. It's just a link into any of the pages. You can title it however you want, and you can describe it however you want, but you can see that the ad has all of a sudden taken up more space. And on a desktop, the click to call shows up as the phone number that's got the red underline. And today, with all of the voice over IP phones and people using their computers from home, you can actually click on phone links on a desktop computer and make a phone call now. So it's essential on mobile, but can still work for you on a desktop because of the way that people are using soft phones today. Call outs are just another way to get more of your message out there. So here you see 10-year warranty, made in the US and worldwide shipping. That's kind of standard stuff. The beauty is I can set the call out. The ad extensions sit separate from your ads. So these, like I just said a few minutes ago, if I'm split testing ads, I don't have to worry about it. The call outs will be the same. It would just be the ad copy that I would be testing the change on. The callouts would stay the same because I'm not going to change my 10-year warranty as an example. So this is a great place for guarantees, warranties, and any of that standard information about your products or services. There is a thing called a structured snippet that is also there that again gives you more text, another way to beef up your ad, another way to speak to your customer. And you get to pick from any of the options on the left: brands, courses, amenities, models. In this case, I chose service catalog because it seemed to fit the best. And we put in some stuff about the racing parts that SPL makes. So those are the ad extensions, and you can see that what they do is they increase the size. Again, what I encourage everybody to do as homework, and I get all of my business owners to do this every once in a while, is go to their phone and just put their company name in and hit the search box and see what comes up. Does their ad come up first? If it comes up first, does it occupy the whole screen on mobile? Can I click the call? Yeah, so you own your top spot on the mobile phone, or is somebody else bumping you out? And again, when the bigger your ad is, the more of that mobile real estate you take up. Yes, you take up more space on the desktop as well. So just consider doing that with your ads, making sure that you're saying as much about you as you can, that the customer can connect and jump into your website where they need to. So let's talk about display. This is where impressions will come up. This is where there's still cheap clicks. And this is where I use them to increase the brand awareness. Now remember, I'm doing this in support of my radio advertising, right? This is not in isolation of some other mass media advertising. What Google has done is they have, this first way that I'm going to show you is they've made it super easy for you to create display ads. You now just upload some images or some small videos, write some headlines, put some description in and your business name, and it creates a dynamic sizing ad that it can put out to the world. And so this has made ad creation simpler. You no longer need to create an animated GIF, a flash thing. It's very simple to go in here and just upload a couple of product photos, put your copy in, and you now have an ad that will run in whatever form Google needs it to be. It will adapt to the website that it's being displayed on. Here's the harder one. So they've upgraded to HTML5. I'm going to suggest to you, if you want to do this kind of stuff, you just contract it out. You can get it done on Fiverr. There's lots of people that will create an HTML5 ad for you, but it allows you to add motion. This is what replaces animated image files and replaces anything from Flash. And if I click again, we should see this movie play, hopefully. There we go. And so not very fancy, but again, animation, movement, and all you're trying to do there again is attract the eyeball, because this ad is living on somebody else's website. You're trying to live in the fringes and get somebody interested in what you're doing. So ours run on, in this case, these ones run on car sites and on YouTube channels about cars. So you can get your name out on the internet using display ads. You'll get thousands of impressions and very few clicks, but the clicks will be super cheap. The other thing that you may consider is doing YouTube advertising. And what I love about it is still the wild, wild west of the internet. And you can continue to extend your brand awareness this way. When I say it's still the wild, wild west, what I mean is it's hard for big advertising agencies to buy YouTube advertising. It's very, very fragmented at this point. So it's very hard for the big guys to buy in. They do, but it's harder, which leaves room for us, the small business, to sneak in. So a YouTube pre-roll ad you want to keep it short. You need it to be 10 seconds minimum, or else Google won't let you upload it as an ad. I was just reading a question. Sorry about that. The key point is to try and get everything you can into the first 5 seconds. What this means is you're not going to tell your whole story. You're just going to say enough in 5 seconds to get the point across. And you can do another 5-second ad about the next point, and another 5-second ad about the next point. Because at 5 seconds, up comes the skip ad button. And so if I was to show you the graph falls off at 5 seconds. Doesn't matter what you do. We've tried all kinds of things, Easter eggs and all kinds of crazy things in our creative to get people to continue watching past about 6 seconds, and it's really, really tough. Now, the beauty is you can choose the YouTube channels that you show your ads on, and you can also set the geographic boundaries. So in this case, I could choose a city in Illinois and say, okay, I want to be on the car and driver channel as an example for this car part. So I can choose a popular YouTube channel that's already getting a lot of views, that's relevant to me, and I can also put a geographic boundary around that so that, you know, people aren't seeing my ad that shouldn't see my ad because I don't offer services outside that geography. And that's it. We just fade to the logo for 5 seconds, and that's the end of the ad. But for the BMW customer, that's enough to let them know we're in the BMW suspension business. And that's really all we're trying to get our point across. So this is another cheater way. It's super, super cheap. I think on average, I'm spending somewhere between 50 and 75 bucks a month for my customers on their YouTube pre-rolls. And so it's a place that you can play and not spend a lot of money where your pay-per-click costs are going up. This is an interesting way to play. Yes, you have a little bit of video production costs. So somebody asked us a question about HTML5 ads. Is that like a parallax ad? And I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with parallax. I'll have to do a little investigation and get back to you to answer that. Maybe at the end I can pick that one up. Are there any other questions at this point?
As I'm monitoring, doesn't look like it, but feel free.
Okay. So everybody focuses on Google. There's this other thing out there called Bing. This really big software company, Microsoft, defaults to their Internet Explorer and to their Bing search engine. And it's a standard in many corporate environments. And Bing ads have a fantastic import utility that'll bring everything from your AdWords into Bing ads. And they've added site link extensions, and now they also do remarketing. And so if you were topping out, if you were getting all the clicks you could possibly get out of Google, you can get another 20 or 30% out of Bing. So Bing represents another 20 or 30% of the traffic. So my recommendations to you is when you start advertising using mass media radio, because I know you're going to call Teresa and get hooked up with some radio. You're going to target your brand keywords. You need to win the bid war, known your page one. You need to leverage Bing. You need to support your radio investment by doing some online display and YouTube pre-roll. So you get people saying to you, I see you and hear you everywhere. I can't escape you. So in summary, use the radio to get people looking for you, not for what you do. Use radio to drive more traffic. It's the cheapest way to get more traffic. Use search engine optimize your site for your brand keywords. You've probably already done that. Everybody has done usually a really good job of that. Defend your brand keywords by making sure you win the bid war and show up first. Optimize your ads so that you're taking up as much space as possible today. You're using all the features that you can to win those eyeballs and bring people over to you. And then, as I said earlier, optimize your website to create those leads and sales opportunities. And you may, at that point, want to leverage remarketing. The reason I left remarketing out is remarketing only happens after you get them to your website. So I was focused on getting people to your website and getting the sales conversation to start. Oh, somebody asked how much did I say for YouTube? I said I was paying between $50 and $75 a month for my YouTube budget for a client.
So with that, and thank you, Gary, this was great. There's a lot of stuff that Gary has unpacked for us. Any questions regarding even terminology or specific instances that you're trying to, again, monetize those trips to your website, you know, and how your conversions are? We've got some time here to answer any of those questions. You're certainly allowed to open up your mic if you can, if you prefer to do that, or you can put it in the chat. Any questions for Gary? Another question, what are tactics to win the bid war you recommend?
The big one, so Bob, great question. And Bob, I need to ask you a follow-up. Are you talking your brand keywords or the what you do keywords? If it's the brand keywords, you'll find that your brand keywords are usually your cheapest clicks. And so it's easy to win that bid war against your competitor. I'll give you an example. In the HVAC business, it's not unusual to pay $30 or above for the word air conditioning, but to buy the air conditioning company's name is usually less than $2 for the same click. Does that help, Bob? Did I get close to answering your question?
Any other questions for Gary? Thank you for spending time with us, Gary. This was excellent. And again, as I shared in the beginning of this presentation, we will be making this recording available to you sometime tomorrow. As we focus on a couple weeks from now, on October 15th, we're going to feature Scott Wells. His webinar will be how to increase traffic, leads, and sales without increasing your marketing budget in less than 3 months. That link to register will be automatically sent when you receive today's recording. I hope you can join us. Thank you all very much for being here. Again, Gary, thank you. I hope Canada.
Thanks everybody for taking the time.
Thanks so much, and find joy in the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.